Hi guys, welcome to this next video in the series about using the Corsair K95 RGB keyboard to control Studio One 3.5. This is the second demo of using the Corsair to control Studio One. In the previous video I looked at using Layer 2 to edit audio and MIDI, and in this video, as promised, I'm going to take a look at how the K95 can be used to speed up your workflow when mixing. So we take a look at the K95, you'll see that Layer 3 is set as my mixing keyboard function. So if we switch over to Studio One, you'll see that I've opened a song and it's got vocals, drums, guitar and bass, and you'll see I've colour coded my tracks by instrument. So let's have a look at tidying up our track view by the use of folder tracks. So I'm going to select all the drums, which are the ones in grey, and to do this I'm using the Shift key and the up and down arrows to select the tracks. There you go, so they're all selected. So now to put them into a folder track, I'm going to use the pack folder function. So to do that, on the Corsair, I simply hit the P key. So you can now see that I've just packed all those drums into a folder track. So Studio One calls opening folders expand folder, but for me it opens and shuts. So for me I've mapped the expand folder to the O key, and you'll see that now that folder track is opening and it's closing. So to remove that track, if I just select away from all the drums, if I go back to the folder track and I press the Y key, it'll delete it. So it's got rid of that track. So a very handy function, and I'd probably use that with the guitars as well because there's a lot of guitar tracks on this song. So another way that I'm going to show you to change your view within the console is to use console scenes. So these are display snapshots of the console, and you can alter the view of the console depending on what you want to see. So I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but basically it's a way of selecting tracks and then hiding all the rest, so you've just got one view. So rather than talk about it, I'm going to show you in action. But before I do that, if we look at the Corsair, if we look at the number pad section of the keyboard, you'll see that all the numbers are flashing. Now I've got numbers 0 to 4 basically mapped to the various console scenes. I've got 5 and 8 also mapped to mixer scenes, which are slightly different, and I'll be doing a separate video about that later on. So to view different views within the console, all I have to do is cycle between 0, which is my all tracks view, 1 which is just the drums, 2 which is guitars and bass, 3 which is vocals, and 4 which is my drums and vocals as well. So 0 gets us back to all the tracks. So there you go. Also you can use the plus and minus keys on the number pad, which is just previous and next scenes. So you can see that I'm just scrolling through them, and that's just using the plus and minus. Great way to organise your console by setting certain views. So one of the things I do when I'm mixing to stop relying on so many faders is use VCA tracks and bus tracks, as I tend to like to mix down from buses. What I'm going to show you is how to add a VCA for selected tracks. This also works for bus tracks as well, so I'll only really need to show you one way of doing it. So let's add a VCA to control the volume of the 2 kick mics that I've got. So those are the first 2 tracks in this song. So if I just scroll right to the top, and what I want to do is add a VCA for these 2 tracks. So select both of them. Now add VCA I've mapped to the V key, and I've also coloured it on the Corsair red. Now that colour is the same as what you will get when you add a VCA track, because the faders of a VCA are red. So I've used V, so if I hit V, you can see that it's added a VCA track. And that's very simple. It's the same as selecting some tracks, right clicking and then selecting add VCA for selected tracks. That also works the same for buses, and if we look at the Corsair keyboard, I've mapped the B key to add buses for selected track, and I've also coloured it blue because bus faders are blue as well, so it matches in terms of colour. So one of the other things that I've done as well with the console is mapping the activate all inserts to a key. So maybe you might want to compare your song with and without FX plugins to hear the difference. So Studio One has the activate all inserts function, and that turns on or off all plugins. So what I've done is I've mapped that function to the F key on the Corsair, and if you look at the Corsair you'll see it's coloured blue. So in order to actually fire it off, what I've simply done, and if you look back at the console, is that at the moment all inserts are turned off. If I hit the F key, you can see it's just turned them on, turn them off, turn them on. And if you look at the kicks and the snare tracks, you'll see that I've got compressors on there, and that's indicated by the volume indicator. So if I hit the F again, turns them all off, turns them back on again. Really simple, and I use that quite a lot. Another thing that we can do as well is we can also have a look at what effects are actually on the channel. So at the moment you can't see the GUI for the VST plugin. However, we can do if we hit the F11 key, and that should open up a plugin. There you go, there's the VU meter that I use on every track. And on this track there's quite a few FX plugins. So maybe I might want to move down between them to view the other ones. So what I've done is to navigate through all those plugins, I've mapped the Corsair page up and page down keys to move through the plugins. So let's have a look at that in action. So next plugin, next plugin, next plugin, and next plugin. So you can see I'm just going through them there by using those keys. This positive grid plugin is quite slow as well, so sometimes it takes a while to start up. And then I think you can close the plugin as well by hitting F11. Looks like that plugin seems to have taken over, so we'll leave it as it is. I've also mapped some of the automation functions to the keys on the Corsair as well. So I've put read mode to the R key, and I've coloured that green. I've put write mode to W, and I've coloured that red because write mode is red. Touch mode I've set to T, and latch mode to L key. And you'll notice, like I say, that on the keys I've coloured them the same as what they appear in Studio One. So let's just have a quick look at that in action. So let's just pick a track. Here's one. This is an acoustic guitar. Let's say I want to put it into read mode. So if you watch Studio One, at the bottom of the track it's now in read mode, and you can see the display on the screen showing that. If I want touch mode, it's T. If I want latch mode, it's L. If I want write mode, it's W. And if I want to turn it off, just go back to read and then hit read again, and we're back into automation off. So I'm just going to share one more thing before we finish, because I know this is getting quite long. If you're at the point where you're happy with your song and you want to export it, what I've done is I've mapped the export mix down function to the M key. So if you hit M, brings up that export mix down box, and that's where you can fill in all the various details for that. And also if you want to provide stems of the tracks, you can then also do that by doing export stems, and I've mapped that even to the S key. So there you go. And then obviously you can set that how you want. So that's a very quick overview of what I've got the third layer of the K95 map to. If you've got any questions, leave a few in the comments and I'll try and get back to you. So thanks for watching, and in the next few videos I'm going to show you the G keys on the left of the Corsair, and also how to create a profile, to create some actions, and also some lighting effects. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.